It's 7:02 to kick things off. Thanks everybody for first trustees meeting of the fall. We'll kick things off with the secretary's report.
Oh, that's the minutes. We don't have them.
I would say we don't have those, do we? Yeah.
So
we will
so next month.
Okay, yeah,
that's
next month.
set aside until next month.
So next month we'll have two.
Okay, that's fine.
Only because it's the summer, there's not an issue with the timing of it. I know we're on the clock.
I don't think so, and it's mostly because of the recording. The recording's available, so if there is, I mean,
It's one of those things where it's only an issue if you get called on it anyway, right?
I don't think so.
Okay.
This is late, like, right?
So we'll move on to the staff report.
Write that down, maybe late. 1 minute. Right.
The comments, questions about the staff report?
Nice to see that summer continues to be successful for, you know, its programming and everything. That was a highlight of the reports, I thought.
Very well. What about the critter game? What happened? There was a skunk in the window well, those giant window wells that the youth room looks out.
Yeah.
So they really, and they get filled with things that Roberto has to go in and cut them back and they get overgrown. But he couldn't go down there because there was a skunk there and it had dug itself into something and it wasn't coming out. And if it came out, it couldn't get out because it had fallen in. So Dave put a gangplank with like little rungs that it could get up. He never actually saw it leave, but he was pretty sure it was gone. It kept coming back.
Well, it was his home. You destroyed his home.
Well, before he
Basically.
made a home, he was coming back though. He was there a couple of times. And somebody had seen him crossing the street, so he comes from across the street. But he's
The other side of
not-
town,
yeah,
that's the other side of town. Everyone loves.
But he's gone now.
Oh, well, that's, thanks to
And
Dave.
Dave did not get sprayed, so.
Tell Dave, thank you. And the other thing I wanted to make a comment on is wireless equipment for the Plaza Jazz. It's absolutely, would be a wonderful thing. I think.
Yeah, yeah.
So I mean, I think that would just highlight it, because that was very well attended this year, all of Plaza Jazzes. And even some of them were outside. Most of them were outside, right? Yeah,
Couple.
We did manage them outside.
yeah, Thursdays were better than the weekends.
Yeah, the rain mostly just waited for the weekends last summer, yeah.
But it was always
There was some
very,
hot weather, but they would stay out in the heat. They don't mind the heat, so.
but it was very well attended, so I'm happy about that.
The groups are getting really, really good. Yeah, and the word's
The
getting
talent
out,
is getting-
yeah, and the word's getting out to different musicians that it's a good gig.
Yeah, that's it. It's the year-over-year commitment. You build the audience. No different than BB Con, right? You know, it was sparsely attended the first year. That's become kind of a thing. So that's great. You glad we're able to continue to commit to that. I appreciated the photos of the roof as things went along. So it's good to see the progress and the finished product. So
Just in time, that was excellent timing.
Excellent timing, yeah.
There was a line in here that talked about, you know, keeping an eye on attendance at different events, and it made me think of something that happened before the summer. We had a Speak Up Boston event scheduled that was not, we decided to postpone to the fall because there weren't a lot of folks.
Yep, it's the 12th,
October or something.
something, yes,
Middle of
it
October.
still has.
Well, I looked at it this morning, and that's what I wanted to kind of poke at, like what I was seeing was what you were seeing. That there's still nobody.
And we, like I said, it's the same as when we talked to this, in June, we promoted it like exactly the same way as everything else and same channels.
Sure.
Yeah.
it eventually jogged my memory, it made me think of, correct me if I'm remembering it wrong. I think it was the commit to your community. We had expected a certain level and we didn't quite get the turnout, especially at like the closeout event associated with that.
We didn't end up doing the closeout event, we, because of the climate, COVID wise at the time, it became an online, it became a database effectively instead of an event, but I'm trying to remember, it feels a long time ago. I know the room.
I think I'll dig.
The first thing was well attended because
Very
it
well
was a
attended.
Zoom thing and the guy was very well known. And that was very well attended, but everything else was not what we had expected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you never know what people are thinking or what they feel like they need to know and they, you know.
Yeah, and you know, it comes down to, is it more one-off events? Like everybody knows the jack-o'-lanterns are gonna be out on the steps next month, right? So there, you know, there's no need to get the word out, the word's already out, but for these, especially adult-focused events, yeah, something to keep an eye on.
I thought it was interesting, the pie chart there that you did, that most people find out about stuff through the library newsletter
And the website,
The website.
yeah,
website,
yeah.
which I mean, I guess that means that if you aren't already part of the library system, there's hard to get it out to other people, because I mean, the fact that social media was so low, that was kind of shocking. I thought
Yeah,
that's the only place there was news anymore.
It's also why people, this is strictly why people were attending the tech trainings.
Yeah.
So then you have to wonder, what is it about the tech trainings that, those are the people who, the tech training people get it from the newsletter and the website.
Yeah.
So are there people that we're missing? Maybe not, because there's other things where people did see it from other places, but they do seem to already be connected to the library.
Yeah,
It's the friend or family thing, word of mouth. That's where you try to get it, to get somebody, I think, beyond your closed group.
right, right.
Yeah.
It's just interesting information about what you're doing.
We had seen this before, that Jackie and I did something and the numbers were really, it was a survey.
Yeah,
And
last
then-
winter.
And the numbers were significantly that it's not on social media as much as people are there. And that's when we started doing the experiments to see, and I realized people don't even get the social media stuff. They seem to get it if you send less of it. Since
Yeah, that
September, in September, we've only had 2 posts and they all have a lot of engagement, yeah.
Yeah.
But there are only 2 posts there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What are the demographics for technology events?
They skew older. Well, that's one project.
And it could be because it's during the day.
Yeah.
So I'd be curious. Do we promote this in the paper? Do we, where else? People who tend to attend, where else could we find more of them to attend?
The senior center, we promoted it, tried to promote it through the senior center a few times.
Yeah.
I think some people have gotten more there.
Jen McDonald from the town too, if we give her things, she put it out too. We kind of just started this though, so this is its first year. So once we see how it works, maybe we'll expand it to different hours, maybe we'll get different demographics, but it takes a while to find out, you know, how does it work for the staff?
Right.
How does it work for the people who attend? We're always picking their brains about what they like and don't like. So it's definitely worth doing though.
Okay, I was just thinking. My assumption was that it skewed a little older, so how, like, for the older people, for who this might be an interesting event. To attend, but who aren't already going to the website and following our newsletter, for us, how do we get them?
Right. It's an advantage that it's on a schedule too. When you do something on a schedule, it will be in people's minds that, oh, this Wednesday, I'm free Wednesday, I'll go, let's see what they have there. Whereas when you bounce it around, or if it's not as regular,
think it'd be really interesting for something like BBCon, just get a similar survey and just understand, because that's a totally different demographic, right? So, just to understand.
It seems like she
I
does,
think they
but
sent it in the newsletter right after to the registration. I can't remember what happened. I think no one.
Like, I know you have to check in, right? So if they're just asking, you have to check in, saying that
No, you don't register, but I think you can check in. I think if
you
you,
have to go get your little like.
right, that's right, you
badge
get
and
a, that's
stuff
right,
like
that's
that.
right.
yeah.
Oh, I know BB.
So last time I think we just sent a survey to everyone who attended, who had registered, but I can't remember what the results were. I kind of think we didn't get many.
Yeah, we'll have to look into that.
Jackie, anything? Any questions, comments? Okay.
Nope, thanks.
Then I'll entertain a motion.
Seconded.
Further discussion, we will vote on the motion to accept the monthly staff reports. Laura? Susan?
Yes.
Adam? Scott?
Yes.
Jackie?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
And I am yes, it's unanimous. Public participation. That's you. Yeah, Jim, hello. We have newly appointed representatives here today.
Of the friends.
Yes. Welcome. The town council represented as well.
Andrea. I think we're gonna try to have one earn, AHEARNE.
I think we're gonna try to have somebody show up to each of the meetings, just so that we, instead of grilling Catherine on an email, or when we see her passing in the hallway about what's going on, we should be proactive and attend meetings so that we do know what's going on.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Welcome. Anything else you'd like to address the, very good.
I'm just here to observe.
Dave, you're, all right, very good. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks for attending. Correspondence? We have a couple of items.
Yeah, there are a few of them.
One from the Connecticut Libraries Director.
Yeah, I thought that was particularly gratifying after, it took a while to get the website in place, so it's good to see it held up as a model for other libraries.
Yeah. That was nice to see.
Branding our fees.
Right. Well, moving right along to committee reports, we have the budget. So that we closed out 23, got cranking on 24, we are 21% expended on based on the personnel side.
Yeah, we're in a good place all along.
It seemed like other than some very binary purchases, like 100% of the telephone budget, that happens all at once every year anyway. We seem to be well placed
Right,
to start the year.
yes. Yeah, those higher percentages are where we pay upfront things that it's one time for the year.
It's kind of intersection of budget and gift funds. I saw that Annie just finished up a couple more classes. Is that correct?
It finishes this month,
November.
November, yeah. She'll finish this November.
Do
She did not put in for.
that was my next question.
Yeah,
Is
because that would
should
be,
we start
that would be
thinking
in advance and so, no, she didn't put in for it.
Okay, all right, very good. All right, either way, it's very good.
Yeah,
Yeah, she's coming up on the end of that program. That's great. All right, anything else on budget? Right. Building and grounds, as Chair of Building and Grounds, I have been delinquent in running to ground anything about the sign up front. I'm committed to picking up that baton I did make a call. Did you?
So-
I'll get back to Mr. Sutton. All right, but it's more than I did.
I've looked too. It's, what I did think when I was driving on the expressway recently is what we might want is whatever is on those clear channel signs that sometimes they, you know, that's digital, whatever that is, and it looks like paper.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
that's,
so-
that's kind of what I was thinking and, you know, I have in the back of my head, one of the reasons I was poking at the attendance for, or the enrollment for, Speak Out Boston, you know, gotta try something new to get the word out, right? So as a long-term solution to that, you know, being able to put that up on a sign, it's just another lever we can pull. Again, it's a long-term solution, because that's not gonna happen overnight, but, it's something that seems to me like it would make sense, like we could do it in a not garish way. I know that was one of the concerns. We don't wanna turn it into a circus sign, right? But, just another lever we can pull.
While we're looking, we can put the signs that we get from, that are printed.
We can,
They're not as
Doesn't work,
big and it
yeah.
doesn't work as well.
it gets
Can
kind
you
of
not see?
condensation.
Yeah, especially this time of year too, right? Yeah, okay, never mind, that's not a good idea.
So I was gonna bring this up later, but could we invest some money in getting some signs? You know, we paid good money for this event, right? You know, if we put another few $100, I don't know how much a sign costs, $1,000, whatever, into a sign to get people to show up. Isn't that?
Baby con, we take?
No,
The other
no,
one, okay,
the-
right, right.
I'm thinking specifically Speak Up Boston. I also have in the back of my head kind of more of these one-off adult offerings or whatever the board thinks. That's why I brought up the committee and community, because in my head, they kind of link together as things that don't have an opportunity to build up a constituency over weeks or years or whatever. But they're still a big part of what we do here in Wyoming. It's worth investing a couple of dollars to get folks to turn out for all the hard work we're doing inside the building.
I think that's what's interesting about this one though, is most of our adult programs do not quite fill, but are well attended. So
Okay.
it's interesting to me that this one is like crickets.
So what is this one? that
Every
I'm talking
once in a
about?
while that happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, before it was a question of timing and it's happening again, so
It's
not.
what's the event? Speak Out.
Speak Up Boston, it was scheduled for Pride Month. You know, part of the activities for Pride. It's a well-established organization, as I understand it. It's run in other communities to good reception, so it's not like it has a track record of being poorly attended. But for whatever reason, just nobody signed up here. So I'm trying to come up with a way to, you know, get the word out. We poked at the pie chart a little bit. It was interesting, you know, one of the things that I noticed was word of mouth was stronger than signage at the library itself, like that. And in some ways, that's great. In other ways, it seems like a missed opportunity. We can or should be doing more in that vein. So that's kind of where my head's at, me poking at this through line.
Are you allowed to use the digital signs down the lake? It's the town signs, right?
We put things in the kiosks fairly frequently.
They only have one, don't they?
Yeah.
The one at the lake is the one. But there's all the kiosks around town.
Yeah, we do that all the time.
Right, we do the kiosks, but
The digital, you go through, Erin, Jen.
right,
Yeah, I've never tried the version. I don't know how it works.
but it is just that one at the end of the
Yeah.
lake, right, that's digital, all the rest are.
Yeah.
So we can ask Jen when we send those others if they go up digitally as well.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe she rotates them, I don't know how she does that.
Have we partnered with, I just Googled Speak Out, so just based on the like homepage, but we partner with like the Human Rights Committee and stuff like that, so other
Yeah, we told
groups
last
in
time,
town.
we told them.
And
to-
ve- and
not sure if
very-
they contacted them.
Yeah, but very often those partnerships, that's what will get more people, because that's word of mouth, you know, so anybody who's on the HRC is gonna talk to.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
definitely did that in June.
Yeah, it's interesting that every once in a while there'll be something like this.
Everything like A-frames or something.
I'm open to suggestions, so maybe even if we had like a vinyl sign, we could hang over the current facade right now. It's kind of a short-term measure, but it's not something we can do first.
So this event is rescheduled?
It was, I forget what date it is, it
Second
wasn't supposed to be June, and now it's sometime in October, see the 12th maybe.
Pretty far afield from building and grounds.
Yeah, but it's a little related, you just think about it. Yeah. It's a tough one.
Well, while thinking about that, is there any thoughts of what we will spend on that signage up front?
I think it depends on what our options are. When I first looked into it, there were other towns that had things that were, I think it was like $25,000-$30,000.
I was thinking the range is gonna be.
Yeah, but they needed the masonry as well. And they were doing it with other facilities, like one was a budding town hall, so they were sharing the sign. So I don't know if ours would be more or less, because we also want a better video. Or whatever you call it, what is it? Resolution, yeah.
And I wonder what the church sign cost. That's kind of the communication.
I did,
That was new masonry too, it was.
there was everything on that, yeah.
Went down the lake, it's done by Main Street, and that was $20,000.
Yeah.
That seems like a million years ago.
And you'd have to always, the prices change in weird ways. You know, sometimes you end up with a better product for less because the technology changes.
Well, I was gonna say that at that time, the digital signs or whatever you want to call them were very controversial anyway. And I think it was more expensive to do one that was decent. So I'm sure that part of it is cheaper. What goes around it, what protects it from the elements and stuff is the costly thing now, I believe.
And you still have to navigate all that with the sign committee in town.
Probably, I don't know.
I'm sure you need some approvals.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons why you hire local is because they can help
Right.
navigate that.
Right,
Because the sign bylaw review committee, I believe is what it's called, would have an input or want one.
yeah. Yeah, it's a project.
So we're just better off going to that chalk. Blackboard, right? So this is just off that a little bit, when you were talking about ways to get it out, I was just thinking, if it's October 12th, October 7th is that town day by the common. I wonder if they would let you advertise with, like what he said, A-frames or
Yep.
something about that particular event. That's, I mean, it kind of.
Yeah.
And
Should be a lot of
sometimes
people
I
there.
think people read something, sometimes people read something and it's like, oh, if it's happening next weekend or,
Right.
you know, they have it. So if it was close to the event, that might.
No, that's a great idea, you're right,
They were
sometimes
all
if it's a
there.
week away and
They
then.
went last year.
Exactly.
They bring all.
Okay,
that, yeah.
no, that's-
So they probably brought it there.
Okay.
That would all happen before our next meeting. Is that something that you could reach out to the town or whoever's running it about advertising, and would you need any money to put together
Are
a
the Friends doing Town Day?
sign?
Yes,
Friends might be able
It's-
to have a sign.
yeah, it would be through the town or the chamber, but I believe it's free. There's no charge to have it. correct?
I don't believe it was a charge.
Yeah.
No, the library is not gonna be a town day.
Right, but I mean, you
Yeah,
could just
it-
have
it
it as,
was- It came on us so fast, but we did just, Jackie just verified, we did just have, we were at Thomas Market. And they promoted it there, they had the information there, so, but no one signed up still.
That's a great point, Susan, the closer to the event, so, yeah. That's really good.
assuming of course it's not raining on that Saturday. Or Sunday, I don't know. which-
Yeah, kind of a big roll of the dice.
I'm sure it'll rain.
Yeah.
Okay, good discussion. Anything else, building and grounds? Friends, Amy has not joined us, is that correct? Okay, her notes, she said it was a good meeting, they reviewed finances. They were holding, they were steady at, about 100K in hand. The friends bought put 30K into a CD. Are looking to go for new book sale locations, working with the town on that. The new board is in place. Let's see, Jody Sherman joined again as a director and gave a talk about the historical role of between the friends and the library and the town council, and the board of trustees, excuse me. The director made a request for funds for the year, and it was granted. Is that correct? Very good. Those are the notes I have. I did not attend. Did I miss anything that we should bring up?
Well, there's a new regime, so I think it's gonna be a smoother year and more cohesive between the friends. Trustees.
All right, well, that's great news for sure.
I think one other item I didn't hear in Amy's notes was that a significant amount of books have been shipped, are being shipped down to a kiosk library in the financial district. Hundreds of boxes, I think it was 130 or more. So they're getting some books out of the herd. Are we taking more in as of Thursday?
Yes.
But it sounds like the balance is going to be better.
Okay, and so this is out with the old and with the new. Is that correct?
I think it's also in terms of their, plan that at some point they'll have be leaving the herd. And
Sure.
it's in line with that as well.
Yeah, that's always to me been the blessing and curse of the herd is that the clock was ticking as soon as they went in, but no one knew what it was set to. So it's just be ready to leave at any moment, essentially.
I had mentioned to Jody that and others that, I was wondering about some space in the senior center, which is underutilized and has elevator. Jody had indicated that in the past, they've been told they were too heavy. I mentioned that to the town administrator, and he indicated that he didn't necessarily think that would be the case. And maybe that has to do with offloading 130 cases of books. So maybe it's something we're all thinking about getting into. Just work in progress.
Right, and it's definitely worth taking into. If Jody says that she was told that at some point, but it might have been particular to a particular elevator, like the one back at the old church, or whatever the case may be. Hopefully it all works out. The senior center sounds like a great option. I had heard it was underutilized space, but that was always secondhand. So.
Well, a few of us are visiting tomorrow there with Steve, so
Interesting. Okay, very good.
we're looking into things, and he's also looking into that as potential town space.
Okay,
We'll see.
yeah, very good. Thank you. Anything else on
Several questions.
funds?
28,000. Yeah, I know it's short of 30. Yeah. So that's all programming up until summer reading. So that takes us through the museum passes and the document center. The different fees for the document center.
You know, last year they did like a check presentation. Is that,
I don't think so, no. No,
Anything that advertises the Friends, I'm on board.
yeah,
Um,
that newsletter.
okay. All right, if there's nothing else on the Friends, we'll move on to gift funds. See something about a stout request.
Yes, stout request, I don't have a stout request tonight, but I want to give you a heads up about it. This year's budget does not include funds for IT. Because, and I have not discussed this fully with the town, but if you will recall, the capital planning committee had $6 million in requests and 2 million to give. And I said, if you give us that roof, I won't ask for the IT. So, and also for summer in the spring, you were talking about looking at ways that we may want to strategically use some of the money that we have. So stout has not rolled, stout money is managed by the town treasurer. And the trustees at some point in the 90s had dedicated it to technology. So I'm gonna propose that we take some of the money from stout to balance that budget for this year. And then moving forward, I'll discuss that with Kevin and Steve, how we want to, do I need a new line item? Because at some point Kevin said to me, he really thought it was capital. So I need that to be, we need to iron that out.
Okay.
But it runs between every year. It used to be, $30,000. And now it's between 8 and 12, 13 maybe. Because the cost of everything has gone down. And there are some years where it's a lot less. Then there'll be a year when you need a server, so that's a big amount. We did the server last year.
Okay.
So moving forward, I'm gonna have to talk to the town about exactly how to move forward, but for this year, I would like to use that stout money.
Okay.
And I'll have details of what we're gonna do with that, and I'll also have the exact amount that's available. Because as of June, it was 12,000, but I don't know what it is now.
As long as we're poking at IT, is there a reason we use Dell exclusively for our computer?
We get that through Noble. We get an excellent discount. Does everybody?
That's what I wanted to hear.
Does everybody use Noble? It's better than this, it's better, it's group purchasing. The deal is always better than anything we can get on our own, and that's using state contracts and everything.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Beautiful. Okay. I have a couple other questions, but I'll hold everybody up. Okay. Anything else for your funds?
Oh, I don't think so. Just next month, we'll talk about stout, and I'll have more information about exactly how much money is there and what that will mean.
Okay. Very good. Okay, anything else for your funds, going once, twice? All right, moving on to legislative advocacy. I know for the CY 25, was it they just ramped up on Capitol Hill? Is that right? Not Capitol Hill, Beacon Hill, excuse
Beacon
me.
Hill,
Was that next year's budget or is it this year's budget?
because it was late.
yeah,
This year
That's
was
what it
late.
was. We came out pretty great
Yes,
from a library point of view.
yes.
What's next for us? When does, I guess, CY 25 ramp up?
I'll probably get more, well, MBLC has a legislative agenda every year. And that has been released, but I haven't really looked at it. It seems like they're looking for usual increases and they're looking to increase the center of the book, which never gets increases. But I think they'd like to maintain what they're at right now, which is giving us a lot of individual state aid. Individually, it's giving us state aid, but it's also giving the networks money. So Noble has not had to increase their costs, and when they do increase them, they're all things that are actual materials. So the increases that are going up are like ebooks, but that, you know, that's, we're gonna get those regardless, so.
So,
The service has been flatlined for a while now, so that, and that's gonna help.
yes, for sure. Yeah, glad to hear we're taking yes for an answer, not squawking too much. Okay. All right, anything else legislative advocacy?
I think that's it.
Personnel, we're nearing the end of a search for a full-time reference.
We hired someone.
Oh, very good.
Congratulations.
She starts Monday.
Excellent.
Excellent.
I was great to write it down. So she went through HR.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I think we might be full. Almost,
Custodian.
almost. Yeah. It's been a long summer.
Yeah, it's a lot for sure. I mean, turnover is part of life at this point, so it's. Okay,
So actually on that, I saw you did the annual survey. And I saw the staff survey for.
Yeah, I do that every year.
It seemed like kind of the normal stuff like professional development, and that was the workplace culture and work-life balance, was that new or is that just?
I just make up the questions, whatever because it just gives people an opportunity to vent or if they or talk about something they've seen that maybe I didn't recognize. Invariably, I'll find out like a machine hasn't been working or there's something, you find out these things. So this year I have been reading a lot about work-life balance and we have had a lot of turnover. And so there's been, a lot of people covering and doing things that they don't normally do. And so I was wondering if people will like maybe burning both ends or whatever. And librarianship is the kind of thing that's hard to leave behind. Everything applies to it, You go to a cocktail party and I'm like listening to what people are saying because what's happening in their worlds is representative of the population. So, what does that mean? I don't have children in school anymore. So I listen to what people are talking about because how does that affect us? So that can burn you out, if after a while you're not leaving that behind. But everybody does have, they do feel, I mean, even if they're doing that, they don't feel like they're overextended. And the fact that I asked the question, I think, gives the message that I care about that and I don't want people to do that. You're not going to be at your best if you don't leave it behind.
So sorry, wait, I'm not there. I heard about the board meeting for the Board of Trustees today, and I thought I'd stop by because I was just at the recovery event. The substance abuse student article for the DB Friends of the Library meeting.
The friends.
I got the wording confused, but sorry, I'm late.
That's fine.
Come in, stop.
Yep, the public's welcome anytime.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming out.
The minutes.
Yeah, sure. I'm Lavender. The Lavender. L-I.
Okay, so that, I didn't miss any committee reports, correct? Very good. New business, strategic planning.
So I just have a question for you. We do the action plan, mostly, I want to pick your brain. So the last time we did a strategic plan, that's where I recruited Adam and Laura. They came to the strategic planning things. So that was 5 years ago. So we have another one coming up, which I just kind of believe it because we're still writing action plans, but now we have to do a plan. So I have been in contact with some other directors who are going through the same thing, and I'm looking for something different. The town just has done Vision 2030 and walk, ride, run, and like, there are so many things going on. I don't know that people want to come out to another event. So one of the things that someone recommended to me is that their board, 2 other towns did this. Their board members each took a single person, like one of you would meet with Counselor McLean, and pick their brains, get information. We would kind of set a script maybe of the kinds of things that you're looking to find out. And then we gather all that information and use that as opposed to having people come to an event where someone directs it and has a full forum. I think we would still want to have forums for the general public, have an open one, but we wouldn't necessarily have one for town administrators. So you can think about that idea, or if you've done your own, if you've done them at work, if you've done them before, if you know of something that's really has been effective, I'd like to know that. And I also think that when we do these things, it's really good to have a consultant. And the woman that we had last time, Jackie and I originally were overwhelmed and then really did well with her. And she was really good with people when she did the group meetings with people. She really handled them well and got a lot of good information for us. So I would like to hire her again if we decide we need a consultant, and I think we will just for that. The other thing that's nice about, her name is Barbara Alevris. The thing that's nice about her is that you can do a la carte. You don't have to hire her for the whole project. She will just do, you know, if we want to do our own materials and everything, we can do that, and she will just run the things that internal staff really can't do to get good answers.
Sort of timeline.
We brought it would be, the entire report will be due to the state next October. So that means we would probably want to do it starting in January. Because it gives you time to set the number of things that you want to do.
I think last time the board approved it in June. I
Yeah,
think we had it done early.
yeah, and so we had done that the last time we did it, although it was due in October, we were done in June, and the reason we were is because we didn't want something to be wrong in September when we wouldn't have time to fix it. So we presented it in June and it was a go, so that was fine. So I'd like to try to do that again, to not have it go months and months and months.
Just to clarify, the board member interviews, those were specifically with members of the town administration or the town council or.
I think you could decide,
Yeah.
you know, who like Chris,
Worthy of outreach.
Chris might want to.
Trustees.
Yeah, or Chris might want to connect with somebody he already networks with in small businesses. Because we don't really hit that population sometimes like I feel we should. So we might get some good information there.
I think we'd want to coordinate.
Yeah.
Like the first thing I thought it was someone on the Galvin PTO. But you know, if we all grabbed something from the Galvin PTO, that would.
Oh,
be
yeah,
terrific.
that would-
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm definitely open to something different, not because I think the process went poorly last time, but just to avoid falling into any ruts or developing any unseen assumptions built into the.
Yeah.
You can actually get targeted information, from somewhere you think you might be missing by, outreach to certain people in certain positions that you wouldn't necessarily hear from because they're not gonna step up or step out to be part of that, so if you're reaching out to them, you might get some insight that you'd never get in a forum because they're not gonna come or too busy to come or. So.
Is it also an opportunity to like strengthen key relationships in town, like, looking into these like the fire department, like, these, you know, like. And I know there's already things that collaboration of those ends, but.
Yeah,
what else?
but it's different if it's from the board. So even with librarians already have partnerships, if the board is developing those as well. Your eyes are.
So, yeah, I had a lot of thoughts, but, so is the purpose of sort of the data collection, is it to do a needs assessment? Is that the idea, or is it to really like get new ideas and direction? Is it strategic direction, or is it, we just need to do a needs assessment so that we feel like we can then point the ship in the right direction, if that makes sense?
We probably need to decide which we would want to do with this, or how this would help either one of those. So the idea is the state wants a needs assessment. Which sometimes in the past, I have the sense that it never gives me the information I actually need. So this seems like another way, like to Chris's point, in a one-on-one conversation, would somebody say something that they might not say in a room full of people? Not that it's a big secret, but just that it wouldn't, you know, the flow of a group of people talking as opposed to talking one-on-one. And it wouldn't be the only thing we would do. We would still do that larger conversation.
Was it the difference between a needs assessment and like a strategic visioning or something like that? Is that the needs assessment, you're specifically targeting people that you don't feel like you meet their needs, right? So we're specifically targeting people who don't come to the library. In addition to the people that we already, I mean, you guys probably already know the needs of the people who come to the library because you're already.
I'm not sure we
Yeah.
do.
But
Kind of.
I mean, we know what every focus group that we have ever done, it's the same conversation. It's I wish there was parking, like, okay. I wish or it's a list of things that we already do and they just didn't hear about them and you can't say anything, whereas if you're in a meeting and someone says, I wish you did, tech training for adults, you could be like, oh, we do.
Right.
And it's more of a conversation,
I
so.
think it's so much on a thing like that, it's really effective to go to them, right? So your constituents are already, if you do a listening session, the 50 people or 10, 15 people in the room are gonna be, friends or the people people who are already really engaged. Versus going to the Galvin PTO and being on the agenda and saying, we want to hear from you in your space, right? I think we do that with the youth, like doing focus groups with the youth for like the health needs assessment every year. And it's so much, if you bring them to a place they've never been before, they don't talk at all. If you go to where they're hanging out already and you say like, hey, let's just talk about what do you use the library for, whatever, I think you're gonna get much better. But I think specifically, like, I like the idea of us doing it as a little bit more casual than just like, hey, we're doing a needs assessment. Let's all sit in a room and talk about it. But I think that's just deciding whether, because the police chief is probably gonna give you a great like idea for like how do we, solve a problem that's being shown in the needs assessment, but maybe isn't like the only constituent you want to hear from for like what is the problem, right?
Right. I have done the PTO things before. And they're really fun and you do get good information and you network a little bit. It's been a lot of years since we've done that one, so that might be another way to, you said go out instead of having people come in. Sometimes having people come in, the problem is the scheduling.
Right.
Yeah, we also have just today I heard we have a youth action person. So she might be, who's been assigned to us, so she would be helpful too. Because that's a whole demographic we have trouble finding out about. So we'll try that.
Even just like with the high school librarians to do it, so maybe go into those classes and just say, hey, tell us about the library, like just listen to what they're thinking about it, we'll tell you about it. Yeah.
Maybe getting to the school would be interesting, but
I mean, we have relationships with them.
yeah,
It's just,
just if she could get us on a calendar. That's an idea. Yeah, so all those ideas, think about them and within the next couple of months, that's what we're gonna do, try to put together a plan. Something, is it-
Kevin, would you, just make sense for you to start making like a list or like people that you might want us to talk to, or maybe not maybe specific names, but categories of people? And then we can kind of, no,
No,
okay.
and you may think of categories of people too, you know, but I think all of that will be up for discussion.
But would it be asking everyone basically the same type of questions, some kind of format of what we're asking them?
Maybe we wanna figure out what it is we wanna know.
What do you wanna know?
And then from what you wanna know, you
You can
develop your
talk, you're right.
conversation based on
Right,
where you're going. Yeah, that might be easier than trying to have everybody ask the same questions
right,
necessarily.
but you'd want certain issues or topics touched with every person you talk to.
Probably.
If we're walking into 10 questions, you're gonna have 4 or 5, that's kind of asking. But part of the targeting people is you may come up with things that you didn't think of, and all of a sudden in your strategic assessment, you all of a sudden, that is a need that we can fill.
Right.
So you have to try to, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Fun.
It would be something different anyway.
Do you feel like there's more of a need with the trustees? I mean, actually, this could be a good experiment to see like kind of the value of having the trustees. I'm not signing anybody up for like more work, but I'm curious, you know, like to be more visible to certain.
Yeah, I also feel like it's
Absolutely.
it's not more work, it's actually more effective with less work. I mean, you could all come and do a group session with Barbara or all come to various sessions with lots of people. But it just, I don't know, this idea appeals to me of one-on-one and kind of making connections. If there are 9 of you making 9 different connections, 9 different locations, and you're not me, because I've thought of that too, that what, you know, Jackie does a lot of outreach things. And I'm really encouraging more of the librarians to do that too. Because they have a lot to offer. It's not just me, it's somebody who's really, then people see again, they see more people.
All right, so everyone think about your buddy. Okay, so anything else on that, Ken?
That's it.
All right, very good. Next item of new business, the flag policy.
So we left the flag policy in place and I sent a message to Tom Mullen to reiterate what he had told me. And to give you all options, let you know what your options are. And so I asked him if I could send this to you directly, and he said yes. I told him it would be a public document and in the packet, and he said that's fine. So I was wrong about your ability to do what you want with that poll. That poll is not like the meeting rooms. I think in my defense, this is the only thing that I've heard of that's like this. That you have the same authority that the town council has to manage that poll and to say it's government speech. So where you read this, he says that you have 3 choices. And one of is what you're doing now. And one is using the government speech thing that the town council is doing. And the other one is just what he calls letting the 10,000 flowers bloom and just invite anybody to do whatever they want and let them put up whatever they want. Which of course is just, that's
He
chaos.
streamlined it to really 2 choices as the document.
So
you know,
that, yeah, so that one's really not gonna work. So his strong recommendation is that the trustees leave the flag policy where it is now. It's simple and legally unassailable. But you can go the government speech route. So my feeling about that remains the same, that if you go the government speech route, you don't represent the entire town of Wakefield. You advocate for the library. So your role is different than the town councilor's role would be. You can take that, that's tremendous authority to say you want to decide to fly flags. And I see lots of complications with it, where the town councilors have their opinions. If the library's opinions differ, are we gonna have dueling flags? Are we gonna, and my larger concern is always, what's the end game? And, you know, my end game tends to be within the building and not symbolic so much. So if you read this and you had,
Go ahead.
Right.
I'll start out by saying that the legal advice from Tom Mullins was the missing piece of our discussion. So thanks for running that down and getting him to agree to include this as part of our packet. I think it gives us an informed decision. I don't know if it's exactly where you were going with it, but I will say I agree that given this, if we decide to go the route of changing policy, the reasons for the change and the reasons for the flags that we fly would be different within the context of managing a library than the context of managing a town. So whether the town council does it or not shouldn't really impact whether the library does it or not, and vice versa. I heard some argument in town council saying, well, the library does this, we should do it too. I don't think the town wants to farm their decisions out to the library trustees. The responsibilities of running a town are different than the responsibilities of running a library. So, yeah, I want to make sure that the two remain separate. Having said that, I tend to agree with Laura that the current policy is good. On the other hand, you know, to keep pulling the thread from earlier in the day, I think we can do more. You know, I think just remaining silent on some of these things isn't benefiting the library or the programming or the constituency. You know, whether that's additional signage, whether that's pushing through to get a digital sign that's more configurable, that can stand instead of a flag. We need to do something else. You know, I definitely sympathize with that. Having said that, I'm inclined to leave the flagpole empty. Honestly, I'm not even inclined to exercise the right we have to run the flags that are in the current policy on the second flag. My preference would be to keep that flagpole empty. That's my 2 cents. I really would like to see something else, something outside the library advertising. But you know, if we running a flag would be an important symbol, but it misses an opportunity to connect to all of the education we're doing inside the library at the same time. My 2 cents.
I believe our current policy includes the ability to hang banners and do other things that are related to that programming. And I think, you know, I think to Catherine's point, the reason for the library is to educate, right? To educate, bring people together and be part of that. So I think that's an important piece of it. And I think we've heard, you're definitely have the opinion that just flying a flag is not educational. It's just symbolic, right? Versus being able to to Jeff's point, just bring more education and awareness through the use of banners or signs or things like that, that aren't just, hey, we're flying the flag, so we did our thing, right? And I think that, I think we haven't had this policy we've had this policy for three months, or I don't know. It's like we started arguing about it right after we approved it, so, I'm sort of the opinion of, let's see how we can do with the current policy as written, with the encouragement to use the banner provision in that a good effect, and see where it goes.
Yeah, and if that means building and grounds committee or whatever subcommittee, you may be a new subcommittee. It gets involved to try and help guide that, to make sure we do take some positive action. I brought up the idea, so I guess that means I'm raising my hand to volunteer, and anyone else who would be interested in that, that would be great. Basically, whatever I can do to help, I'd like to see some forward movement on that, but to reinforce Adam's point, the policy gives us that flexibility as it's currently written.
It's what the flag policy that we initially put in place, just for all the reasons that we discussed. And I'm very confident in issues that come up or need to be addressed or want to be addressed are done inside the library. So I think that's a good stance for a library to take. I think it's a much more, again, educational, like everyone's saying, stance for people to take, because the symbol is, everything is interpreted, even a paragraph of writing. So I think we don't need to go that route of the symbols. And just like what we saw in the pie chart that we had, that, outreach for certain things that do become important, or have a program on outreach, and to get as many people coming or hearing about it, because that starts a conversation, which is going to be education in my mind, rather than somebody seeing something and then they have two different interpretations. It's not moving forward. I think doing that more of advertising what's happening in here as being important would be awesome. So I'm satisfied with the reasoning and the importance of the way we're doing it.
We spent a lot of time chatting about our policy, working through it and talking about it, and we came up with the word banner for a reason. So exactly what you said. Note what's going on inside the building with things that are outside of it. Happy with what we have.
I'm probably in the minority here. I can see that, but I would like to see us expand our flag policy. I think we could make a really simple adjustment.
Jackie, we're struggling to hear you.
Can you speak
Sorry.
up just a little louder?
Yep, sorry about that. But can you hear me now? Yep.
Yes.
We're gonna try and adjust the volume on our end.
Okay.
Okay, try now.
Okay. Can you guys hear me now?
No.
No.
This is a bad Verizon commercial.
That's what I feel like. I'll type. Anything? No.
It's up to 100.
If we can, we turn the air on for a second?
Okay.
It's out to them.
That's okay.
Yeah, just get close to your microphone.
Yeah, it's attached to my head. I'm not sure how much closer I can get. Yeah, sorry. I don't know why you guys can't hear me. I don't have trouble at work. No,
Can we,
Sorry, Jackie.
that's okay.
I wonder if we can show the closed captioning.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry. I said that wrong.
What? Did you even turn it on? See that, Nash? That's where it's there. So it's fine.
Yes, I think, yeah.
Oh, okay, I think we can see your captioning now.
Okay.
We'll try and keep up with you via closed caption.
Okay, I'll try to talk slowly. I was just saying, I'm sure I'm in the minority here, but I would like to see us make an adjustment to our flag policy. I recognize what everyone's saying. I hear you. We could just add federally recognized observances to our policy. Then that kind of states what we're adding. I obviously do not want to be in the business of voting on flags or anything like that, but I think recognizing federally recognized months and certain observances throughout the year with the flag would be nice. I do think it draws people into the library and it draws attention to the library.
Did everyone get that? Okay, very good. Yeah, no, I think if we had overturned it, that would be the direction we go in, Jackie. I think I am optimistic that we can take those same jumping off points and do something external to the library to tie it back to things that are inside the library, to say something on the outside of the library and then to do something inside it at the same time. I would be interested in hearing more about different kinds of things we might want to focus on from the year. So I want to try and set something up to hear a little bit more about this. Because as I said before, I do want to do something more than what we're doing now, for sure. So trying to find what that is of interest to me. So even if there's no change to the policy today, I don't want to lose the thoughts we have. I'll also say that Amy Lomanak had sent an email expressing a lot of the same things that you just mentioned. She mentioned the list of federally recognized observances as well. So it sounds like there's something we can do there, something we can make happen there, even if we don't end up changing policy for the flag.
So if we use banners in those.
Right.
On the stairs, we have those poles that go there.
Yeah.
In some cases, that if you can see it from the sidewalk, you can see it when you drive by.
Yeah, and I was poking at specifically this one particular event that we're trying to get some turnout for. But it's kind of general. If there's something that we think it might be needing a little extra boost to get awareness out there. I'm all for expending some dollars out of our funds if it's productive to get people in the building.
We had summer reading flags.
We used to have blossoms flags.
Yeah, they don't always make that much difference.
I thought when we came up with the policy, we were pretty specific about how the banners would be used too. I thought we were about kind of promoting library programming.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was programs or initiatives.
Yeah, broad, yeah.
I think it was broad. Yeah, I mean, the idea is that again, it's about, to me, it's about education, right? So we want to have, we're talking about Disability Rights Month, right? We want to be able to have that education going on in the building and everything, and having something outside that acknowledges this is the month. Come inside to learn about it or whatever and be part of that, and that's.
Yeah, or we can hang something for Women's History Month. It wouldn't necessarily have to be one to like this thing happening on March 6th, just any of the events that might be happening in March. Whatever the case may be. I'm pulling stuff out of the air.
I see 11 federally recognized holidays. There's no reference to a pride holiday. There's no reference to the other two you just mentioned.
It's not a holiday necessarily, but it's a
Federally recognized. Jackie,
Yeah.
what was your phrase?
Federally recognized special observances. They're special months or certain days like Juneteenth that have been determined by a presidential proclamation. I Googled it earlier, hold on. Presidential proclamation, executive orders, and public law. So I'd be happy to copy and paste this into the chat or send it to you later.
To separate, Women's History Month from, National Cheeseburger Day was the other day, that's not what we're talking about.
The list is on the state department's website.
Yeah, I was gonna say, early on, you could look at that list.
I would say it's on Wikipedia, but I know that would break all the librarians.
Say what?
I would say it's on Wikipedia too, but I know that that's not.
Yeah, it is, citations.
So I remember to talk about what Amy had sent me, to represent that position. Okay, is there anything else we want to discuss?
So just peeking at this, so now there's 24 federally recognized observances. We start trying to wade into that, it gets even more complex.
So Law Day pop up, which is a reaction that we had back in the 50s to Communist May Day, which is funny all on its own. Anyway,
I guess the point I would be driving at is stay where we are and we can recognize what we like.
sure, and we don't want to put in a policy farming this out to someone else's list, because then we don't have control over what makes it onto the list. Having said that, if we come up with some guidelines to exercise some judicial some prudent decision making, then there's something to be said there. And again, even if it's an umbrella, as long as it can be tied back to what was the phrase we used? Initiatives. I think we're in good shape. I've run my mouth a lot. Anyone else want to talk?
It's complicated.
Well, I think one thing you said, I'll just chime in because I haven't said anything yet. I don't want to belabor it since there was a long talk about this in June, but I was not part of it, for better or worse. But one thing that you said that really stands out to me is that we don't want to inadvertently wind up at odds with the town council, because that's just because of what we're choosing to fly. And I think that even if we went the route of changing it, which I don't advocate for, I think it's fine the way it is right now. I think most of us agree, but if we went the route of trying to change things based on our discretion, I think you run the risk of invariably winding up in that third category that Tom is cautioning us against, which is that if you start selecting what you think you should fly and what you shouldn't, it might eventually become a public forum anyway, and I think that's what we definitely want to avoid.
Because I think what happens as a practical matter is that we'll say the trustees have that authority. And then the public will go to the trustees and say, I want you to do this.
So I got myself wrapped around the axle about this over the summer. Like, how can we put the genie back in the bottle? I don't think that's the right way to look at it. We're publicly elected officials, and the public has a right to petition us for whatever the case may be. And if they want to petition us about a flag, that is absolutely the right of the voters of this town to do so. So I started trying to figure out how to unring the bell, but that's not how it works. So I'm not worried about that. Folks want to come petition us about whatever it is. We are here for it.
Well, I still kind of think that public has the right to petition initiatives, something that they don't see included or recognized at the library. I from an education standpoint, I think that's why we're here. So if there's something on that list of 11 or 24 or whatever it is, I mean, I know that the two people in control of the library here pay very close attention to what is needed and everything. But if somebody brought something to your attention, we would address it inside. And if that also, coincide with something was needed outside, then that's something I think we should discuss. But the whole flag thing, I think, is not the issue. So we're almost talking about things that maybe aren't addressed in the library and maybe promoted outside. That's how I'm looking at it. Whether it's, the controversy started because of the, 2 years ago with the pride flag. But any of those things that are recognized, that I didn't even know that list existed, quite frankly, and I would be interested in looking at it. But I feel like the trustees or, public can say, hey, this isn't, I feel like this isn't represented or understood or discussed in the library. I think that's where your programming comes from. Am I wrong? Your program or your displays or everything that they physically do day to day in the library. So yes, I believe that we or anyone has the right to say, because we are servicing the entire public, and that is the ongoing discussion.
Yeah.
How do we service everything for everyone that's needed? And so that I would welcome.
And I think the public feedback we've received acknowledges that what we're doing inside the building is great. It's just a question of the welcome mat is the analogy that's been used multiple times in folks I've talked to. So,
Right,
you know,
I think that in some part comes from the fact that they're thinking about one particular thing. Whereas when you make a policy, you have to look at all the potential possibilities that it represents, so
absolutely.
that's where it gets.
People aren't advocating for a good quality policy change and then no action taken with the new policy, right? That's absolutely true. There's a secondary but a real outcome that folks are looking for. And again, that's part of their right as a voter to petition us.
So when you were talking about that, it reminded me that at the last meeting, Amy seemed distressed at not doing her due diligence. That and we really didn't address it, but she was frustrated at being an elected official who felt like she wasn't doing what she should possibly do. And so I looked into, what's your role as a trustee? Because you shouldn't feel that way, that you're in a position where you're not doing what you think you should be doing. And I think what she was referring to falls more into the town councilor aspect than it does library trustee. The trustees are specifically here to advocate for the library and its service and to represent the entire public that is there. Everyone's a library patron, whether you have a card or not. And Amy and all of you do that really well and in good faith. So it did strike me that she was, feeling uncomfortable, and I don't think she should. I think she's engaged and is a good representative.
I'll say for certain, whether we agree or disagree, I think all of us do our best to operate in good faith.
Yeah.
I'm glad you used that phrase, Catherine.
Sorry, can I get everyone's names? Hey, I forgot to do that. I know you're Catherine.
Catherine, Susan, Chris, Jeff.
It's okay.
I feel awkward.
Adam, Scott, Laura, Jackie.
Yeah, nice to meet everybody.
Nice to
Nice to meet you. Thanks again for coming.
So if you decide you wanna leave it in place, as you said, see what happens and you can make an adjustment at a later date or not, or see what we do with banners or signage or the marquee and see what difference that makes. Because it is possible that the marquee could be a real solution.
Yeah, I see that as a long-term solution, but I'd like to explore what we can do in the short and medium terms. And things like, an A-frame at Town Day for this particular event coming up, Those are the kinds of things that, you know, I'd like to poke at and I'd like to hear from the whole board too. Yeah, I really would like to see what else we can do.
So do we need to endorse the fact that we're not changing our policy, let's make that a vote, since it's new business?
I don't think so, unless there's something changing, I think it's just a matter of discussing based on the information we received from Mr. Mullins. I think that's
Unless somebody wants to make a motion to change the policy.
Right,
which is the- I did want to, you know, if there is some.
absolutely. Hearing none, items not reasonably anticipated by the chair I have talked to the trustees, but I'll go ahead and say on behalf of the trustees, I'd like to congratulate Adam on being named CEO of the year of Massachusetts for the Boys and Girls Club.
Congratulations.
Very good.
Is there a trip that goes on?
Yeah.
No, more work.
Higher expectations.
Yeah, great.
It was on.
Yes,
Okay.
that's my new business. There is an event by First Financial, and we are all invited because we're a customer. And I just sent it to your email at the beginning of this meeting. So it has the date and everything on there. Next door.
All right, any other
You say next,
unexpected new business?
Next door?
the event,
The event is not next door?
I think it's at the country.
I think it's at, Beer Hill.
Oh, you're right, it is. Yes, I'm sorry. That's why
I know I'm not invited, because I wasn't on that list.
That's why I sent it
Oh,
to you.
that's okay.
That's why I sent it, because I knew I would get it wrong. And
Is
I
there
just,
enough parking there? Because we know there's not enough parking.
I did
That's what I
send
heard.
it to you.
That's what I heard.
It's November 2nd, 5:30 to 7:30 at Bay Hill. Sounds very nice.
Right.
Oh, it is.
What's our conflict?
Wakefield 101.
Uh-oh.
That's November 2nd. Oh.
What time is Wakefield 101?
6 to 7:30.
Can they
Get
do
that
another
half an
time?
hour.
I didn't hear anything about it. Wakefield 101.
Not a new
That's
resident.
really
You
good.
know?
I mean, you're not new, so you would have gotten the postcard.
No, usually I see, no, I've never been there, obviously.
It came quickly.
I mean, it didn't happen during COVID.
We had it last year.
Yes,
So we
last
did
year.
it last year, and it's not gonna be in this building, it's gonna be there.
Next door.
Next door. Yeah, the Civic Center.
Okay, next friends meeting is October 12th. I am on duty, so I will see you there. Adam is the backup. Our next meeting of this body is October 25th. And that's all I have, folks. If there's no other comments, questions, concerns, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Second. Okay. We'll go around the room. Laura,
Yes.
Susan,
Yes.
Adam,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Jackie,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
and yes, we are adjourned. Thanks, everyone.